color identity is bull. With the forthcoming change to Commander rules about color identity and hybrid mana, as a player and designer who has in the past expressed many and varied hatreds of Commander, I was honestly delighted to find discovering my love and appreciation for the format begin to coincide almost immediately with hugely controversial changes to the format. Because, I'll be frank with you, most of the people participating in the discussion around what is good or bad or best or the future of Commander are not qualified to be having that conversation. Many of you, my wonderful, beautiful viewers, and I do love you so much, like and subscribe, have left comments demonstrating to me that you have an idea of Commander that is not accurate to the format as it exists. Because let's be clear, competitive EDH and Commander are the same format. There is nothing separating them. Now we do have the bracket system, which is fantastic, but that is a system that is barely regulated, brand new and largely untested, and also the Game Changers list has a huge amount of just vibe check cards, almost as bad as the Commander ban lists of old. I appreciate the problem that Commander exists to solve. It's really good to just get together with your friends, play some casual Magic, and all agree to some nebulous level of lower than competitive power. Singleton is the best part of Commander. Nobody likes having to obtain an arbitrary additional number of copies of a card just to feel like they're building their deck correctly. And also, people hate cutting things from their decks, so having 99 distinct cards is absolutely fantastic for people fundamentally enjoying the deck building process, as opposed to standard, where you can play 10 different cards and then a basic land. I am sure I am not alone in saying that I have built Commander decks where I've gone out of my way to make sure that no two of my basic lands are from the same set, giving myself the absolute maximal amount of variance that I reasonably can. If people want to have conversations about what the vibes of Commander can be, anybody can join in on that conversation. I'm all for it. I want there, WotC wants there, everybody wants there to be a fun community format. But if you're discussing the mechanical implications of how to interpret and come up with a special custom rule for hybrid mana, well then I expect you to have done the Game Design 101 reading homework. For example, today's topic is Dragonclaw Strike, a Temur card made of 2 brood mana symbols that does stuff it doesn't matter for the purposes of our conversation. It kills people in draft. What would be the color identity of this card? Well, obviously many people consider this similar to a Beseech the Queen situation. This is a card that can be cast for its particular colors, but can also just be played for 6 generic mana. What decks should this then go into? The baseline for this conversation is, within the context of Magic, one of the best balanced and most well-designed card games ever created, which has an established system for figuring out which decks can play which cards, which is, can they cast the spell? If you really, really want your deck to be thematic and you need a color identity ruling on hybrid cards, it's not nearly as difficult as people are making it out to be. A hybrid symbol with 2 colors in it, like say Spider Manifestation, is treated as one or other of the colored symbols in the hybrid mana at the point of deck construction. So this is a red card or a green card. Or it is a red-green card if you choose for the 2 hybrid mana symbols on this card to have them apply to different things. If you're already writing out a comment about this version of the card that I have created, please learn to identify bait before you write comments anywhere on the internet. You're going to have a much improved quality of life. Beseech the Queen is a mono-black color identity card. Why? Because colorless isn't a color. Am I insane for thinking that this is just an incredibly easy pre-existing answer to this entire question? Dragonclaw Strike. What decks can it go into? Based on the color identity rules, it has to go into a Temur deck because it is green hybrid, blue hybrid, red hybrid, and you can't pick colorless for any of those mana symbols. There are so many arguments that I'm seeing that I want to just pick up, give a simple answer to, and then put it back down and never think again. People want color identity to be one rule that's easily followed. There's already a separate rule that makes cards like Bio have a color identity because reminder text doesn't count for color identity, and it would otherwise be a colorless card that would be playable in every deck, except that from the outset, Commander has had an additional rule that specifies that basic land types separately count for color identity. So if basic land types can have a special rule, why can't hybrid mana symbols? Even the concept that mana in a card's text box applies to its color identity as opposed to the card's actual color is itself a separate rule to what already exists in Magic. Cards like General Tazri didn't exist until 2016, specifically because Commander wanted it for deck building. Conversations about power are fundamentally undermined by the fact that the original set of Elder Dragon Highlander Commander cards kind of forced you to play all three of your colors by saying that you needed 2 pips of each of the 3 colors to cast the card in the first place, and then you had to pay 1 of each every upkeep or the creature would destroy itself. In the wider aspect of Magic the Gathering, one of green's fundamental powers is its ability to generate and access mana of colors other than green. That's a thing that's actually valuable and a reason to be into green, and it makes splashing into green easier than splashing into other colors like, say, white. But the color identity rules force green to either suboptimally utilize its fundamental mechanics from the very beginning of the game, or have cards that get formatted like Surgeon Commander, a card that looks a lot to me like it's specifically making fun of cards like Lotus Cobra. As a person alone behind a camera, fundamentally shouting out into the void, I recognize I'm not going to do very much in terms of moving the needle. But as somebody who has actually studied and done game design, I cannot sit by and let armchair designers tell me that Mary Jane Watson is absolutely broken in a monocolor deck. People are always going to play what they want to play. My brother has an absolutely brutal Brutaclad Commander deck, and he chooses to play Corona False God because it's funny. That's Commander.